Chapter 4, Mishnah 4. The Mishnah states two laws that relate to the Kohen, or Kohanim, who does the Parah Adumah service. All those involved in the Parah Adumah service from the beginning, i.e. the first Avodah, until the end, i.e. the last Avodah, make their clothes tameh. That is, someone who does any Avodah of the Parah Adumah becomes tameh, and the clothes he was wearing at the time also become tameh. And they disqualify the Parah Adumah by doing a different activity. That is, if someone participating in the Parah Adumah service does a different activity at the same time, the Parah Adumah becomes invalid. The Mishnah elaborates on the first law, namely, that someone involved in the Parah Adumah service becomes tameh along with his clothes. If a disqualification happened to the Parah Adumah during its slaughtering, it does not make him or his clothing tameh. The person who slaughtered the parah, as well as those who performed any of its later avodos, do not become tameh, and their clothes certainly do not become tameh. But if a disqualification happened to it during its sprinkling, the law is as follows. Anyone involved in its service before its disqualification, he and his clothes become tameh. And anyone involved in its service after its disqualification, he and his clothes do not become tameh. It emerges that its stringency is its leniency, i.e., a condition that disqualifies the Parah Adumah leads to a leniency. For once it is disqualified, it no longer makes its participants and their clothing tameh. The Mishnah lists 5 laws that apply throughout the Parah Adumah service, from when it is slaughtered until it is burned and reduced to ash. It is always subject to me'ilah, i.e., if someone inadvertently benefits from the parah, he must pay the value of the benefit plus a penalty of a fifth and bring an asham offering. And one may always add wood to the pyre to fuel the fire, and the ashes of that wood may be included in the mixture of the ashes that will be used to make mechatas, and its procedures are performed only in the daytime, and they must be performed by a Kohen, and performing a different activity at the same time as one of its procedures makes it invalid. All of these laws apply until the parah turns into ash. Once the parah is burned and becomes ash, these laws no longer apply. The Mishnah teaches that the disqualification of performing another activity applies not only to the Parah Adumah service, but also to the preparation of the spring water from which the mei hatas is made. And performing another activity disqualifies the water until the ashes are placed into it. This means that if a person who is involved in preparing the mei hatas, for example, he draws the water from the spring, does another activity at the same time, the water becomes invalid. However, once the ashes have been added and the water has been converted into mei hatas, it can no longer be disqualified in this manner.